The views expressed, opinions given, and any communication made between the hosts and guests of What Are You Afraid of Horror and Paranormal Show do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Para X Radio, EMC Network, or all services that play this show. The hosts and services are not responsible for the actions of their guests, and the original rights of all intellectual property is retained by the creator, and all work is used with either permission or Creative Commons license. The show is for entertainment purposes only. I'm horror author T. Fox Dunham.
And I'm horror author and filmmaker Phil Thomas.
And tonight we're asking you,
what are you afraid of? Philadelphia's horror home with hosts T. Fox Dunham and Phil Thomas.
have no fear, Phil. Well, actually, have fear.
Okay.
Halloween is coming.
Halloween is coming.
Halloween is coming.
Can you believe that September is a week away?
I know. Summer burned by so quickly.
Oh my God.
And we've been busy.
Yes. It's been a busy summer. It's been a good summer. It's been a hot summer.
It's been hot. Yeah.
It has been hot. We complain about it now, but we're going to miss it.
We are.
And like we just said, September's a week away, and before we know it, actually, I don't even want to talk about it.
We have a few weeks.
Yeah. Before we know it, it's going to start getting cooler.
Last year we were at Penhurst and sweating. Remember?
I remember.
It was so hot.
Yeah.
We could have worn shorts.
We had it all planned out. Like, we're going to wear these big, heavy costumes.
Yeah,
you had your mask.
You were David Pumpkins.
I was David Pumpkins. I had that hat and the suit. And that suit, like, under that suit, I was sweating. I was sweating like crazy.
The nylon, whatever it was.
Oh, my God. It was,
and I had that makeup on, and the sweat was beating down.
You had the crow.
Yeah, the crow face.
Face mask, yeah.
The Edgar Allan Poe stuff.
And you took it off within like half hour. You're like, I'm done with this.
Yeah. And I had a vest on and everything. I was all dressed up.
I remember, you were really, I mean, it was humid. It was like 75 degrees or something. This was October, so yeah.
It was still pretty warm, which was nice. I just wish we had an overjet. And then the next time we came down, it was a little bit cooler.
A little bit, not much though.
Yeah, but it was still more comfortable.
A little more comfortable. Yeah.
What are you missing about Halloween right now?
What am I missing?
Yeah.
I like to smell the pumpkin candles, the scent of, and even I like to light them every night.
Yeah.
Like pumpkin spice candles that I've got. And I have them already. I'm just they're just sitting, waiting on reserve. And the decorations. I miss the process of putting up all the decorations, and just walking outside and smelling that burnt leaves in the air.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Smell of that fall autumn smell.
I like the baking.
The bacon too. The baking is the bacon.
I'll do the baking.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of. I keep thinking of recipes I want to make because you just don't want to bake in the summer.
Yeah.
You bake in the summer, you heat the house up.
Yep.
You have guests coming, it's just not good.
Fall and winter is definitely a baking season. You got the holidays, all the holiday bakings, the Halloween baking, and then
I want to make my pumpkin scones.
Pumpkin, yeah.
And those soft, large pumpkin chocolate chip cookies. And pumpkin cheesecake this year.
Okay.
And I was thinking about doing a sweet potato pie for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet potato pie. Wow.
But I want to do that Halloween party.
Right.
And I've been watching stuff. So I've been a little Halloweened out. I've been watching stuff to do for the party and things like if you boil eggs to do deviled eggs. If you crack the shell a little bit and then put them into red food dye and then peel off the shell and make the deviled eggs, it looks like the eggs are all bloody and cracked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds. Hey. If you do that, I definitely want some.
Hopefully we'll have a Halloween party.
Yeah. You were saying about that'd be great.
Do some Ravenloft.
Yeah.
Which is the dark horror
I'll be
D&D setting.
maybe I'll be David Pumpkins again.
David
I'll recycle
Pumpkins?
my Halloween costume.
I think you're spending
from
enough
last
money
year.
on it.
Yeah, the thing was expensive.
Yeah, I'll be recycling mine too with the mask and everything. I bought it one time, and I have the cravat and the vest and everything that goes with it. So.
Yeah, it was like that was not cheap. That was. So I'm keeping that for the long haul for a while, But are you looking forward to any particular movies that are coming out this October?
There's a bunch of zombie stuff on Amazon that's out. I'd like to see, what is it, A Quiet Place?
Yeah.
Was that the one with David?
No, it has A Quiet Place has Emily Blunt, and John Krasinski.
John Krasinski was the name I was trying to think of. Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing that.
And they're married in real life, I believe.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
they are. Yeah, he was on The Office.
Yes, he was.
Alison really liked him.
Yeah, he was good on The Office.
Yeah, I liked him.
And he wrote this and directed it. So he really he really's got a hit on his hands. I mean, that movie's done very well. It's already out on Blu-ray. I have it on my Netflix queue.
Yeah, it's on. Yeah, right. I need to rent it sometime.
Yeah,
and see it online.
It's really from what I hear, an amazing movie. So,
and I always like my Angel and Buffy.
Angel, nice.
And we just learned that they'll be doing another Buffy series.
Right.
And that'll be fun. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I heard they're going to redo that. Yeah, or not redo it, but just
they'll do a sequel series.
A sequel series. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got plenty of paranormal books to read. I'm sure we'll be getting a lot of guests.
Yeah. Well, I have a queue of Halloween books I'm going to be reading this October, this Halloween season, and I'd say that the zombie stuff I'm looking forward to as well. The one thing I'm really looking forward to, and it's very controversial within like the horror community, is the new Halloween movie.
Oh yes. Yes, I've heard about this. I've heard it's loved and hated.
It's loved and hated for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a new Halloween movie, and people love these movies. They're iconic.
Yeah.
Michael Myers is an iconic figure, and Nick Castle, who played Michael Myers in the original Halloween, is playing Michael Myers now. He's in his 70s. When he's in his 70s, yeah. He's not the only one playing Michael Myers. He's not.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
There's a couple other. I think there's one or two others. But I have to check that out. But I know he's not Michael in every scene, but he is in some of it, And you also have this storyline, which is really what has kicked off this controversy. Is this new Halloween is it's a sequel to Halloween, 1978.
Okay, it's a sequel.
But yet this is still called Halloween,
right?
2018, right? So it's not called Halloween 2, right? This takes place 40 years after the events of Halloween 1, where it ends.
Okay.
Where Michael Myers falls off the balcony, Loomis shoots him 6 times, or if you watch Halloween 2, in the recap, there's an extra 7th shot. So somehow he has that's a mistake. But but so what this movie is doing is pretending like Halloween 2 never existed. So the hospital scene never happened. The discussion they have in the car about Michael Myers and Laurie Strode being brother and sister does not exist.
Oh, I see. So
that storyline that
what's the term they use when they go back and rewrite a rejack or something?
It's not a reboot because
but they've gone back and rewritten a couple things.
Yes. Well, they're pretending like 2 never happened. Now, 2, after Halloween 1 happens and Halloween 2 came out, Laurie Strode gets taken to the Haddonfield Memorial Hospital. Michael Myers follows her there, kills a ton of people in the hospital. But in this new timeline, he is arrested shortly after, or picked up shortly after he gets up and leaves at the end of the movie. We don't see what happens. He doesn't kill all them people in the hospital. He only kills 3 people that night because they actually mention it. So Halloween 2 never happened, according to this movie.
And who knows what the hell happened to Halloween 3? Season of the Witch,
no, Michael Myers isn't even in that.
Yeah,
so.
he's not even
So it's causing a lot of controversy. But you got these actors back. You got Nick Castle, and you have John Carpenter, who's producing it.
He's still doing it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's on board. He's consulting and everything, and everyone's going through him for his okay. And you got, of course, Jamie Lee Curtis coming back as Laurie Strode. So.
Very nice. And what was Captain Kirk's name? It was William Shatner mask. The William Shatner mask. Will be back. Probably the most iconic Halloween mask of history.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that should be. I mean, I don't know what to expect. I hope it's good. I have friends that are like, I'm not seeing it.
Oh, geez.
I'm not seeing it. I have a couple. I'm not going to name names, but there's a couple that will not. It's two of them that I can actually say they're boycotting it.
You know what? When you get to that point, you're taking it too seriously.
They're not going to see it because they both highly revere Halloween 2, and they're absolutely offended at the fact that they're pretending that movie is cut from canon.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
I see. I get it. I understand. Well, you got to have an imagination. You got to let yourself be a little flexible.
And I said to them, I'm one of the biggest Halloween fans there is, and I even told, and so were they. So I even told them, I said, look, I'm not. I mean, like when I watch Halloween, I'm still gonna watch Halloween 1 and 2. I'm not gonna pretend like it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So like, and my one friend was like, well, if this movie's pretending like it didn't happen, and Carpenter is saying it didn't happen, then it didn't happen. Then I can't watch it anymore. I'll just throw my copy in the trash can. I'm like, well, you can't go that far.
I was just thinking there's parallel dimensions.
Yeah. And I said that. I said there's so many timelines when it comes to Halloween. Because Halloween H2O pretends like Halloween 4, 5, and 6 never happened.
Yeah, right. There you go.
But they still exist. You can still watch them, right? Yeah. And this one's pretending like H2O never happened. And 2. And everything after it.
Well, it sounds cool.
So this one is basically every Halloween movie after 1, all of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, H2O. They never happened according to this movie. Only the first one. So,
well, I understand. I mean, you know. But just to let you know, we need some ghost stories.
Yes, we do.
Check out the website at www.whatayouafraidofpodcast.com. We've got options there to help send in your true ghost stories. Send them in and we'll have our voice actors record them. And if you're looking for a good anthology for some great horror fiction, especially around the New York area, the New York State of Fright, Horror Stories from the Empire State, is incredible. And it's written by a bunch of friends in the HWA, and people like James Chambers, John Foster, Patrick Freehold, Trevor Firetog, Teal James Glenn, Mark Abbott, Amy Gritch, Megan Acuri, who wants to come back on the show.
Great.
Actually, the wonderful Lisa Minetti. Poor Lisa has had such a problem lately. Her car was damaged. She had a house fire. She's very upset. So, thoughts are going out to you, Lisa. Whatever can't kill you can only make you stronger.
Oh boy, that's a rough time.
It's all fodder for horror.
Yeah.
So be strong, Lisa.
Yeah.
But it's New York State of Fright. The proceeds go to the New York City Girls Right Now nonprofit organization. It pairs at-risk teen women interested in writing with professional writing and career mentors, which is really cool. And you can find out more about that at www.girlsrightnow.org.
That's amazing.
But pausing, we have part 2 of our interview with HWA author Kenneth W. Cain, and he is the leader, our fearless leader of the Pennsylvania chapter of the HWA. They start doing meetings, some great people in there. Hopefully we'll catch up with all of them before the session is out. And we have part 2 of the interview we did. We started with last episode, and we'll continue with this, and we've got a great story that he did. He sent it in to us called Lake of Souls. Real nice atmospheric piece.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we've got our voice actors reading that.
Sure.
And then we'll be back.
Yeah, we'll be back.
On episode 94, Halloween is coming. Halloween is coming. You want to try, Phil?
Halloween is coming.
Halloween is coming.
Halloween is coming.
Or you could say it like Michael Myers would. Exactly.
It's perfect. Perfect. Hey, that is the perfect.
There it is. That's Phil's impression of Michael Myers.
That is the perfect interpretation.
Well, when he said that, he stuck a butcher's knife through my neck.
Right.
So that's you had to see that.
Michael Myers says.
Hey, we'll be back.
And there you go.
Are you haunted by shadow people in the middle of the night?
Do you secretly love all things creepy and spooky, enjoying ghost stories and horror fiction from the best storytellers?
Do you have a true ghost experience you want to share, but no one will believe you?
If yes, listen to the professionals on What Are You Afraid Of? Horror Paranormal Show, Friday nights at 9 p.m. on Para X Radio and at www.whatayouafraidofpodcast.com.
What Are You Afraid Of on Para X?
Our creepy and demented hosts are on call to provide you with all your spooky needs with true ghost stories, interviews, indie music, and new horror fiction. We are ready to scare you.
Para X.
From the author of the Ghost of Hollywood series and Workplace Spells comes a book for all lovers of pets. Animal Spells and Magic by Marla Brooks. Learn how to choose your next pet according to their astrological sign. Explore animal superstitions. Learn 25 magic spells for your pets and get instructions on creating your own spells. Learn who to call upon and what to use to cast these spells. Includes special chapters by Reverend Tim Shaw, Psychic to the Stars Kenny Kingston, Psychic Medium Victoria Gross, Animal Communicator Dinah Roseberry, and Shaman Willie Windwalker Gibson. This is the perfect book for all animal lovers. Animal Spells and Magic by Marla Brooks. For details on how to get your copy of this amazing new book, go to www.schifferbooks.com or check out Marla Brooks online at www.marlabrooks.com. This would make the perfect gift for the animal lover in your life. Go to www.schifferbooks.com or ask about it at your local bookstore.
Mercy, a new horror medical thriller from author T. Fox Dunham, published by Bloodbound Books. Based on the author's horrific battle with a rare form of lymphoma that involved intense chemotherapy and radiation, Fox turns the horror of his experience into terror on the page.
William Saint is dying of cancer. On most days, death seems like a humane alternative to the treatment. Stricken with fever, William is rushed to Mercy, notorious as a place to send the sickest of the poor and uninsured to be forgotten, and finds the hospital in even worse condition than his previous visit.
Willie's memories faded. He grabbed his sack head, the sack head of the scarecrow, picking at the exposed chicken wire to hold them in. However, the memories fell out of the holes in his face. They wormed and crawled from the leather flesh and the old clothing of the scarecrow, then squirmed and wiggled down his body.
The grounds are unkempt, the foundation is cracking, and like the wild mushrooms sprouting from the fissures of decay around it, something is growing inside the hospital. Something dark.
Fangoria gives Mercy 3.5 out of 4 skulls. Dunham has channeled his many brushes with the other side into the exquisitely rendered, lyrical, supernatural hospital thriller Mercy.
It's feeding on the sickness and sustaining itself on the staff, changing them, and now it wants Willie.
Come now, Mr. Saint. Just a little more of that sweet milk. So salty and so good. You won't miss it. And we ever do so like our delicacies here at Mercy Hospital.
Part medical horror, part supernatural suspense, Mercy is a hard-hitting fever dream of the novel. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Tim Wagner, author of The Way of All Flesh and Eat the Night. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and bookstores everywhere in both print and digital versions.
Life is an addiction.
Let go. Let it all burn.
He's the author of 4 novels, the Saga of I trilogy, and the United States of the Dead, 4 short story collections, These Old Tales, Fresh Cut Tales, Embers, and Darker Days, and the novella A Season in Hell. He is also the editor for Crystal Lake Publishing's anthology Tales from the Lake, Volume 5. Early on, shows like The Twilight Zone, The Outer Limits, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and One Step Beyond created a sense of wonder for that unknown that continues to fuel his writing today. Cain resides in Chester County, Pennsylvania, with his wife and 2 children. You can find him at kennethwkane.com. So, when you're writing, where do your plot ideas come from?
You know, I keep this little notes app on my iPhone, and I just, it's so weird. Like, I just jot these notes all throughout the day. Like, the littlest things, most of them make no sense whatsoever when you go back to them. You're like, you know, I might write man, dog, smile, cow. And I'm like, I'll go back to it 2 hours later. I'll be like, what in the world was I thinking of? but it's the ones that do make sense. And I keep a little folder of them. Like literally there's thousands of them. And I will, I'll find 2 or 3 that jive together. And that's how I get my stories. But a lot of times it's just seeing something, you know, like, I wrote a story for Fresh Cut Tales called Split Ends. And we were on vacation in Virginia Beach, I was sitting at the pool, just, you know, dipping my legs in. And this woman was brushing the knots out of her daughter's hair. She was very young. And she was brushing the knots out, but they were like so bad that she was getting frustrated. And I was just like, that frustration. So I jotted a note about that. And the story is, you know, it's quite wicked. I'm sure she was just being a frustrated mother. But the story is quite wicked because I played upon that vision that I saw.
And what would that mom think if she found your story, realized it was her?
But if the people that we put in our stories only knew, right?
Right, exactly. Wow. So, and you're a member of the Horror Writers Association, and you're trying very hard to get this local chapter going. And I'm trying to get out to the meetings. It's just, with my wife in grad school working a 40-hour job and my health, it's just a little difficult to get out there, though. I'm trying to get onto Skype and join you there. And you're out in, did you say Exeter? Was that it?
Exton. So we're pretty close to the Exton Mall.
Okay.
So
that's not too far.
No, it's been a great experience. I mean, I've been in the HWA since the very beginning. I've had since my beginning of my writing career, I should say. Not since the beginning of them, but I've met some great people, and they've really gone out of their way to help me. And when somebody does that, it always makes an impression upon me, like, geez, these people are so great. I got to give back to the community as well. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I've just been trying to do. I just want to, I try to give back, like the people in front of me have showed me how. My peers have showed me that sometimes you look back and you help somebody out, and it feels good.
It does, and it's always important to never forget where you came from. And there are authors out there who are a bit insecure and feel that a patronage is a way to justify their insecurity, and they can be very cliquey. And it's very harmful to the self-esteem of a beginning author. So my message out to other authors out there, especially all the new ones listening, is when you do get successful, and if you work hard and you're really honest with yourself, you will become successful. That's true. And just don't forget all those people out there that are still struggling. And if you can give them a hand, just even a little bit, a few words, a book review, go out and do it. Because we need each other,
Well, that's so true. I actually had I made all these self-published kid books that I made for my own kids. I did the graphic design on them and the pictures and everything, and made fun little cute stories. And I put them out for the kids. And it seems like all too often we have these school shootings. So I typically make them free when that happens, so the kids can read those while the parents are watching the news, something to take their mind off of them. And I actually had someone from one of the teachers from Sandy Hook found out about it. And thanked me. And I was like, wow, that's something that just really touched my heart. It was huge. She didn't have to take time out of her busy day to come and thank me for that.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to send you a whole bunch of hard copies for your library. So.
Right, that's really cool. You've got this stuff coming out, and I see Darker Days. What's that about?
So that's my fourth short story collection. It's not an overall theme. What I tend to do with my short story collections is I tie the stories together with like threads. So if you read the stories, you'll see they're tied together in a way, but it's not an overall theme. So you get like a little bit of everything. You might get an Old West story. You might get a very Lovecraftian story. You might get a ghost story. So I cast a very wide net, trying to entertain readers with as many stories as I can, like a varied collection.
So to you, a TOC is a menu.
It is.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So. It's also an overall experience. I mean, it's the way I like to read. Like I love anthologies and I love the collections that have a single theme. Don't get me wrong. I'm just more interested in seeing a variety of stories. Mm. And maybe that's just because when I was younger and spent a lot of time in that basement of that used bookstore reading all those anthologies. I mean, there were very few that I remember that had like an overall theme. So I really very much liked getting a variety of stories. And so that's what I want to provide for the readers myself.
And that was out in Chicago, where you're from, right?
Actually, it was right here in Fraser. You know where Fraser is?
Sure.
There used to be, now it's I think it's a motorcycle store or something like that. Mm. But it used to be this awesome used bookstore where he had literally like stacks of books going up to the ceiling. That I think he was using them to hold up some of the stacks. So it was just this incredible used bookstore. I loved it. It was very much like what was that old story with Atreyu?
Oh, Neverending Story.
Yes. It was very much like that kind of feel. Like whenever you walked into that store, you had that feeling that you could just go into a book.
Oh, that's a great feeling and definitely quite inspiring. So the publishing industry is changing, especially in ways of funding. I mean, back when we really got going, it would be somebody who had a day job. They wanted to invest some money in a publisher. They would throw a couple $100 into print on demand, bring out a book, not really understand how to promote it, and the book sales wouldn't do well, so they would try to build up their publisher by producing more books, and they would do the same thing, and eventually their company would continue losing money, and they'd have to drop out. And we saw that happen a lot, and it's kind of damning for authors who build up their hopes on these publishers, and then they drop out. And now we're seeing a lot of crowdfunding, and there's some moral ambiguity about this, especially when it's the contributing authors themselves that are paying a couple $100 to these crowdfunding projects, or they get stories and then they say this is only going to happen if we make our crowdfunding goal. How do you feel about this new trend in financing publishing?
Oh, that's such a tough question. I've seen crowdfunded anthologies that have just been fantastic and for good causes. I do think that sometimes it just seems like a cash out to me. I've seen crowdfunding for magazines and anthologies that have not delivered on the promise, or just delivered the bare minimum so they could keep the money. So I have seen both the good and bad side of it. Mm-hmm. I do know that there are presses that require the authors to do these crowdfunding campaigns in order for to do like certain editions of their books. Man, it's such a tough thing because I've seen such good come out of it, but I've also seen such bad come out of it. I mean, recently I had somebody went to a writers conference or as a class. I think it was like a couple weeks of this class. And, she had worked very hard to save up her money for this class, but everybody else in the class had crowdfunded it.
Wow.
And I was just like, wow, now it seems like it's going too far. But then, on the other hand, maybe somebody just funded the next Stephen King. Mm-hmm. And we might have that because of that funding. So it's very hard. But yeah, I think there's a fine line there. I'm not sure where it's at yet. But it's one of those things that you keep your eye on. I'm not one to write for any kind of anthology that I feel like there's very little chance and so like if there's an anthology for like mole rats and I write that mole rat story and how well am I going to be able to market that story if it gets rejected? I always look at that. So it's a very specific theme. I want to make sure I want something that I can market to other markets if I feel it can be, or to self-publish or to put it in a collection or whatever. So I'm not one that typically tries to go after these very specific themes anyway.
You got anything top secret, really cool, vague booking stuff in the future coming out you can hint about?
I do, actually. I have an anthology coming out early spring. I'll have a story in it, and I'm also editing the stories. I didn't select the stories, but I'm editing the stories. It's called When the Clock Strikes 13. I think that's going to be the name. 13 really great authors putting together stories for this I think it's called In Your Face Publishing. It's a new one.
Oh, yeah. I've not heard of it.
So it should be fun. We had somebody drop out, so I dropped in, and that's just how it goes sometimes. But so far, the stories have been excellent. I've edited about 5 of them, and I've really enjoyed it. So I think that's going to be something that people really can grab and have a good time reading them.
Well, when that gets closer, let us know, and we'll get some of the authors on the show.
Awesome. Thank you.
If you could call yourself back in the past when you were starting out, what advice would you give yourself then that you know now?
So my most common response to that is to be patient. Because you have this story, and you spend all this time writing this story, and you think it's gold, and all you want to do is get it published. So you're just taking the first offer that's on the table, and for most of the new authors, and you really need to focus on writing the best story you can, which sometimes might mean taking a lot of rejection. Aim high. Mm-hmm. Aim for these markets that are propane markets, and then when you get rejected, use that as if they provide feedback, use whatever feedback ticket. Take it into consideration and try to improve your craft. And that's it. Don't be in a rush to publish. Be in a rush to write a good story, a better story.
Right. That's when I was getting going, I just thought, and this is a mistake a lot of authors make, is frequency of publication equals fame and success. And it wasn't really about the money. It was just, well, if I get my name out there so many times, and X amount of people will read my work, and I will become famous and successful. And as I was doing that, I discovered later that it's just not the way this works.
It's not, and I actually blew your first novel is like one of your greatest opportunities to win like an award, and I blew mine.
Right.
And because I just didn't know, I didn't research it enough. I was in too big of a hurry, and I blew it. So, and I don't have any regrets about that. It's just the way my career's gone. We all have this, there's this beginning and an end to this journey that we take as writers. Mm-hmm. But there's so many different ways to get to that end. And, just be patient. That's my message to any new author out there. Just be patient. Don't be in a rush to give your stories away for free. Try to get money for all your hard work and make it hard work. Don't just make it like, hey, I banged out this draft and it's good to go. I mean, I have stories that I've done, 40, 50 edits on.
Yeah, I feel that. I had a story called The Last Elf that I worked on for 10 years, and just kept draft after draft, and finally Tony Riviera over at Grey Matter Press finally saw its beauty and put it in Omnius Realities, and I'll never forget that feeling of accomplishing that finally, and you're glad that I had written a quality work, and glad for all the rejections that came in, because it carved that story, it shaped it,
Yeah, and congratulations, that's an excellent press, by the way.
Oh, Tony, he's actually a pretty good friend. Yeah, he's I gotta talk to him. I'm trying to get he has to get Karen Bruin on the show, and I gotta talk to him. We're doing a show, this sort of zombie apocalypse comedy sketch called Fluffy and Pete Survive a Zombie Apocalypse.
Oh, nice.
And my friend, I wrote for the Joe Sestak campaign when he was running for Senate. He was a congressman, and then he ran for Senate. He didn't get nominated, but I was writing op-ed pieces for Joe, and I met the communications director, Michael Garrett, there, who's a poet out in State College, and we clicked, and I taught him a lot about writing. And I'm actually trying to compel the things we talked about tonight to him. Don't be so eager. Don't be in such need of validation that you sell yourself short. Don't do frequency. Plan your targets. Think strategically, and pick a better market that you spend. Like I used to just run off story after story every month, but now I'll take 3 or 4 months and pick one target and really put my all into that one story and get a much better credit for it.
Yeah, and I still write a lot of stories, but I have very specific markets that I target, and. I won't go, and I know some authors that do this. I don't even know how they do it because it's such an undertaking. But they'll submit a story to 200 different markets before they find a home, and I'm just like, wow, that's impressive. I'm like 5 and done.
Wait, I got to say, if you're submitting one story to 200 markets, then you're kind of you might need to improve your process a bit there.
It's just it's one of those things, and I get the thought process behind it, Like I said, I could have, for Tales from Lake Volume 5, I could have easily produced 3 or 4 excellent volumes. I just only could do one. So there was plenty of stories that, could have gone to any other market and sold. It's just a matter of whether it fits with what they're printing at the time. Mm-hmm. So sometimes that's all it comes down to, is it's just not a good fit because of the other stories they have, or their headliner stories that they've sequestered. So I've just always been one, I can't invest too much time in that. I will invest a lot of time into the edits, the editing over and over again. So I have, at any time I might have 40 or 50 stories in my folder that I'm working on, and I'm editing them, daily, and writing new ones. So that's my process in a nutshell.
Yeah, there is a point where you do have to force yourself to let go too.
Exactly.
Where you just have to. Yeah, you've done all you can on this thing right now. You can't put any more energy into it. It's time to send it off to college.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually have this folder, I call it the folder of lost dreams and hopes or something like that, where, half the stories that I write never see the light of day, so they end up in there. And you never know, down the road, you might have this little piece from that story that you can use in another story. So I keep them.
Well, you need something to publish posthumously,
Yeah.
So, like when Vonnegut died, his family just raided his computer and threw as much as they could out there, and I think stuff's still coming out. It's kind of frightening, and I think it's stuff that he never intended to see the light of day. So.
But sometimes that could be like a total gem, and you don't even realize it. We're often our worst critics, and sometimes I think that could be disabling, like in a way that we have this great story that we're afraid to put out there.
Right, that's true. Well, I guess if our kids can make money off our stuff when we're dead, more power to them.
That's true.
Yeah, that's when I was writing Mercy, and I was doing, because I had this period in my life where, and I'd been living under death for a long time. Like they just said the lymphoma was going to come back, the cancer was going to come back sooner or later. The kind you have, the age you had, just kind of plan for it in your life. But there's always a chance it wouldn't, but they were pretty sure. And they had me coming back for CAT scans every 3 months, every 6 months. I was getting every lump biopsied. I still am. And so I wrote these books thinking that they would be published when I was dead. Like all this work that I'd written, like Mercy and Destroying the Tangible Illusion of Reality. So I was thinking less about marketing and success and more about writing the soul and writing work that would speak to people. And then I published all this work. I published these novels, and they've been a little hard to sell because they're a bit esoteric. They're not, they're entertaining, but they're more philosophical, and people want to have fun. They want to enjoy what they read. So I have, suddenly deciding that I was going to live and getting married and turning 40, which was kind of the cutoff date, I've had to reassess, reevaluate, and understand writing in an entirely new way, and write not just for the soul, but also for entertainment and fun. And I've sort of been out of the industry for like 6 or 7 months to a year because I've been learning how to do this, and so I guess what I'm saying is there is a difference between, writing something fun and entertaining or writing something very soulful and poetic, and there's a different market for both.
You're right on there. If you look at my collections when they came out, you'll see that there's a gap in there of about 1.5 years in between the second and the third, in between Fresh Cut Tales and Embers. And that really was a period of time. Believe it or not, I went back and I re-edited These Old Tales and Fresh Cut Tales twice each.
Right.
And it was a process. I don't know why, and I know a lot of authors, like more experienced authors, will say, don't do that. And it's a trap, and you'll end up rewriting everything all the time. But I really learned a lot about myself during that period, about how free I was with my prose early on. And, now you have all these lists of rules that you're supposed to follow, and there's a new list every day that somebody publishes. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a much tighter writer now. So by going back, I'm getting a little bit more freedom in the present, but I'm also able to go back and edit those stories, make them a little tighter. So it's kind of all balances out. I honestly think I've learned more about the writing process by doing that than by doing anything.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, right? And it's funny because when I started, I was writing those kind of books. I was studying character, and I was studying theme, and I was studying arc. And now that I want to make my work more financially successful, I'm studying plot, I'm studying pacing, I'm studying atmosphere. And the two are definitely on the different sides of the spectrum.
You're right. And those are great things. Like I've always focused a lot on subtext and layering, and dialogue is a really tough thing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't get that dialogue. It sounds very contrived sometimes. And when that happens, like, I described it once as the Olympic torch ceremony before the Olympics, how they have that torch and they're running it to the next person. When they get to that person, they have to hand it off. And if they drop it, I don't know what happens. Do they cancel the Olympics? I don't know. I know that somebody gets upset. But that's how a story is. You have to pass that torch on from paragraph to paragraph. And you don't want to drop it because the second you drop it, then everybody goes, oh, you got to be kidding me. And so that's very much how I look at writing.
That's an excellent metaphor. I appreciate that. Okay, so we are talking to Kenneth W. Cain. It's been great talking to you tonight. I've learned a few things, and I appreciate your point of view. And I'm sure our listeners at What Are You Afraid of Horror and Paranormal Show have learned quite a few things. Is there any parting things you want to leave us with?
Geez. First of all, I really appreciate you having me. It's very much appreciated. The Season in Hell, the pre-order is out there. Go check it out. I think it's more of a literary dark story. So hopefully people enjoy it. It's very short, so if you haven't got a lot of time, check it out. And it's about baseball, but it's got a dark side, and it's very current with the issues that are in America.
Well, Ken, it's been great talking to you. You are Kenneth W. Cain, the Cain of Crystal Lake Publishing, and you've got your first novella entitled A Season in Hell that's due out on September 7th. We will have links up for our readers at www.whatareyoufraidofpodcast.com, plus links to your website and other links to your books. And it's been incredible talking to you. Thank you so much.
Awesome, and thanks for all your help with the HWA chapter.
We're glad to be of service.
Caliburn Press, LLC is a Madison, Wisconsin-based publishing company owned and operated by Alan Ledden. Caliburn works with talented writers, artists, editors, and marketers throughout the United States, and you can find their books through their many imprints that include Damnation Books, Eternal Press, Malaferia Press, Ciento Sordida Publishing, and Spiro Publishing. Please visit their website at sites.google.com/site/Caliburn Press LLC/home, or Google Caliburn Press to check out their growing list of titles on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and any other place fine books are sold.
There are things that are unexplained, things that linger along the edges of reality. Often they leave trails to follow, many of which lead to darkened rooms and stairways that can take you, if you dare, only to one place: the Basement Files.
Well, here we are again. I thought that perhaps the nightmare was over, but no. I am summoned once again and can only obey. I am in thrall of Fox and unable to resist his powers, his hypnotic powers, masquerading as charm and friendship, his transatlantic, perhaps global powers. And so, every Sunday morning I sit in front of a microphone and read. Every Sunday afternoon I edit the audio file I have been commanded to create. Every Sunday evening I press send on an email to Philadelphia with an MP3 attached and tremble as I await the verdict of my master. I changed my name from David Walton to Brendan Shawland and created music which I liberally sprinkled throughout the internet in websites including SoundCloud and Bandcamp in a pathetic attempt to throw him off the scent. Those hopeless breadcrumbs are still available if you care to listen, so that you will know what not to do when your time comes. That's right, it didn't work. He tracked me down, and I am once again his creature. If you are listening to this, you are in grave danger, and I can only urge you to flee. Flee! Before it is too late, before you find that you too are a voice actor on whatayouafraidof.com.
Nightscape Press is proud to present Ashes and Entropy, edited by Robert S. Wilson, an anthology of cosmic horror, noir, and neo-noir, including stories by Laird Barron, Damian Angelica Walters, John Langan, Christy DeMeester, John Paget, Lucy A. Snyder, Matthew M. Bartlett, Jessica McHugh, Tim Wagner, and many more. Ashes and Entropy will be beautifully illustrated by Luke Spooner. Our Kickstarter campaign ends very soon, and we have many exciting and rare rewards to share with you, so please, stand on the precipice with us as we prepare to dive down through the event horizon into the bleak and mind-shattering void of both the cosmos and of humanity.
Lake of Souls by Kenneth W. Cain. Lisa approached the unfamiliar man, curious of his disposition. Something about him seemed off, likely just extreme loneliness, perhaps the reason he had come here tonight. A brisk Michigan breeze brushed the bench. She shuddered, but the man never even blinked. Staring out across the vast lake, he seemed oblivious to her presence. When his eyes finally did see her, surprise filled his round face. His wide gaze searched her eagerly, his listless expression transforming into something more pleasant. "Hello. What are you looking at?" she said. "Sorry, I didn't see you there, young lady." She could see now he had been crying. As if sensing her knowledge of this, he pulled the lapels of his trench coat tight around him and hid within the shadows. She smiled. "It's okay. I was lost in memories of better days, of coming here with my wife." "I know the feeling," she said. "Do I, though?" Whatever the case, she decided to change the subject. "Brrr, it's cold today." He was staring at her. "Yes, it is. Not long till winter comes, I suppose." The way he struggled with his words made her feel like giggling. She observed the starry sky. Dark, ominous clouds slid across the purple background, like ancient ships lost at sea. The moon glowed brightly, like a giant eye that observed everything, listening to their every word, whispered or otherwise. "Where are my manners?" he said, with a hint of desperation in his voice. "Please, sit." She did, feeling rather content. He was a handsome man, not too young, not too old. His dark hair waved in the breeze. Sucking in a deep breath, she became mesmerized by the beauty of the view. The lake stretched out for miles, no trees or anything for as far as she could see. A thin haze blurred the horizon, making it impossible to discern where the lake ended and the night began. Again, he gazed out across the lake. "It's a beautiful view." "Yes, quite stunning." "That's exactly what my wife said the first time we came here." I wonder if she died." "Back then, we came here a lot. She believed the dead could speak here, so she came to say goodbye to her father." He looked at her, seriousness in his expression. She'd heard rumours about this place when she was very young, that it was some sort of gateway to the afterlife, as silly as that might sound. Despite being close to her father, she had pulled away from him as she aged, lost touch with him over the years, and he died most unexpectedly. That always bothered her, more than she let on. Lisa nodded. After a while, coming here just became a thing to do. We came once a month for many, many years. Too many visits to count. We'd have a picnic or take a walk along the shore, watch the wildlife and sometimes take pictures. Does that sort of thing appeal to you? She ignored his question. Did she? Did she ever reconcile with her father? He studied her for a long moment. I can't say for sure. Maybe. I'd be guessing though. It's hard to say when it comes to matters of the heart, as she was always so guarded with her feelings. If you had to guess, though. He grinned. Not in my lifetime, I'm almost sure of it. She kept coming here, though, even when it became a struggle for her, near the end, right to the day she passed. Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you. He seemed lost in his thoughts momentarily. You know, that supernatural stuff. I've never been a big believer. Yet, here you are. As if startled by her reply, his smile faded. Yes, well, I suppose you have me there. Hey, maybe she and her dad made up afterward. His eyes stole hopeful glances at her. What do you mean? Like, maybe they were able to make amends after she died. In the afterlife, I mean. Do you think that's possible? Anything's possible. She watched him carefully. Say, why do you believe she never found peace anyway? Well, in large, because of me. How so? For one, her father never approved of me. He thought me the devil. She giggled. No, it's true. He thought I was going to wreck his little girl's world, that I'd turn into some sort of weirdo, I guess. He always thought I'd end up cheating on her, that I'd hurt his little girl. His words, not mine. Anyway, as a result of his animosity towards me, we never visited her parents much. Because of me, she went a good 10 years or so without seeing him before he passed. She never got over that, how short life can be and how quickly it can be taken from us. An uncomfortable silence followed. What's your name? Tom. Tom, if she was so private, maybe she kept any sort of reconciliation hidden from you all that time. Maybe she was happy all along, just being with you. His grin grew. That would be wonderful, but... She could see the strain in his eyes, tell by his tone that it was far worse than she expected. What? He froze in her gaze. Sorry, I shouldn't be so nosy. It's just that I lost her in a bad way. Oh, I'm sorry. She couldn't help but ask. Was it a car wreck or something? No, he said. Something far worse. He sighed. Let's just say whatever demons haunted her, they finally caught up with her. I see. Though she didn't really see anything at all. She could only guess what that meant. Was it... She stopped herself. Go ahead, he said. Was it drugs? He looked surprised by her insight. Close. She drank herself to death. She never forgave herself for the way things ended with her father. Lisa sat quietly. I suppose part of that was my fault too, he said. She could see he was fighting back tears. A few glistened on his cheeks, caught in the moonlight. He let out a slow breath. I wasn't there for her. What? But you were married. Yes, but I don't think I was there heart and soul. I heard what she had to say, of course. Knew what she was going through, but I couldn't relate. And when someone can't get it, that often creates a disconnect. Oh, I see. I don't think that's your fault. Yes, well, I buried myself in my books, read much of those days away, and many of the nights. I had several good adventures in those books, but none like I had with her whenever we came here. This place was all we truly had together in the end. So that's why you're here, hoping you can make amends. She caught herself too late. Sorry, I don't mean to pry. She bowed her head. It's really none of my business. No. Hope filled his eyes. It's okay. But he didn't answer, only stared out at the lake, teary-eyed, sporting an odd grin. I'm sure she forgives you, Lisa said. He coughed up a laugh. You think? Sure. Why shouldn't she? Maybe she doesn't even know I come here, he said in a defeated tone. You sure I'm not getting too personal? After all, I did intrude on your privacy. She stood. I can go if you'd like. No, it's fine, please, he said, and patted the bench. She retook her seat beside him. Have you heard the stories about this place? He asked. She shook her head, then remembered something he said. Are you talking about the dead? Appearing perplexed by her straightforwardness, he nodded. Yes, it's not just about people seeing them here, though. Lost in her thoughts for a second, she tried to recollect if she had heard any stories. She had, of that she was certain, but couldn't recall any of them. What else, then? His eyes softened. Here, the dead can speak to the living. She laughed. Really? Come on, I don't believe that for a minute. No, it's true. Something about the excitement in his voice made her paranoid. Maybe he's one of them. She fidgeted her thumbs, considering this notion. Even thinking it made her skin crawl. No, that's not possible. He's just trying to scare me. Believe it, he said. She entertained the conversation. It sounds outrageous. Yes, it does, but... I know. It's the exact reason why you came here, to speak to the dead. Yes. His eyes scanned the lake, perhaps looking for his wife. Sadness overwhelmed her to think a man could sink this low, to resort to this, clinging to the last vestiges of his dead wife. And for what? Some desperate hope of reconciling with her, when his wife might not even recognize him or know who he was to her. What was the point? It's kind of heartbreaking. She eyed him up, seeing that he noticed her gaze, how comfortably he seemed with her looking at him like this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. No, it's okay. His teary eyes found her. I promise. He heaved, trying to suck in air and failing. Once he got in a breath, he sat there quietly, letting it out slowly and viewing the lake. Who do you... she said. This is the he said at the same time. They both laughed, and for the briefest of seconds this all seemed so familiar. You go, she said. No, you first. She shook her head. Please, I owe you that much for ruining your night. His eyes pleaded with her. You absolutely did not ruin my night. If anything, you made it a little brighter. Okay, that's a little weird. His words made the moment awkward. Still she waited, trying not to look at him in the eyes again. I was going to say, he said, this is my 4th time coming here. I see. And have you seen anything unusual? Unusual? I don't think so. What does that mean? The first time I came, he continued, I wasn't expecting much. I was hopeful, but nothing came of it. And the other times? His eyes seemed to pry inside of her thoughts. I like to believe I did see her those times, and that she saw me too. Really? You're being serious, right? Quite. A chill ran through her. Wow, that's really cool. And do you think she knows who you are? Does she remember you? I'm not sure. Again, he restrained the tears. But I like to think me coming here has made some small difference. And deep down, really deep inside of her, I think she knows who I am and why I come here. One day she'll forgive me, and maybe when that day comes we'll both be able to move on. She trembled. That's so romantic. Well, she is the love of my life. Lisa smiled. A man called her name. She looked back over her shoulder. I think that's my dad. I better get going. He'll worry if I take too long. He didn't respond, only sat there as if frozen by her words. See you later, Tom. Good luck with your wife and all. She started away but heard a commotion behind her and spun around. Tom had tried to get up from the bench but had fallen. Hurrying over to him, she asked, Are you okay? Here, let me help you up. His hurt-filled eyes stared up at her. Can you? That was a bad fall. Are you hurt? She glanced back to where she had heard her father. Do you want me to get help? His steely eyes penetrated her soul. I'm okay. He pulled himself up to the bench, where he sat dusting off his pant legs. Say, Lisa, can we talk again? Another day, perhaps? Something about this request made her feel strange. She wanted to answer, perhaps to say no. Sure. Relief visibly washed over him. Okay, I gotta go, she waved. See you later then, Mr. Tom? Oh, right. See you, Tom. His name sounded so familiar to her now that she said it aloud. It felt right and wrong all at once. She would come again, next time she saw him out here. Maybe they could talk some more. She wanted to hear more about his wife. As she left, she glanced back and saw him rise from the bench. He said something she could barely hear, but it sounded like, Goodbye for now, my love. Lisa turned and sauntered down the street. In the distance, she saw her father and smiled. It was good to see him again, to feel so close to him. In time, maybe, she could even forgive Tom.
Well, Fox, jack-o'-lanterns are coming.
Yeah.
Haunted hayrides are coming.
Haunted hayrides. Are you...
Spider cider and deadly donuts are coming. Haunted houses.
I gotta tell you, I think we burned out the haunted houses in the area.
Yeah, we might have.
And I think Allison and I are going to maybe go up with us. We can take a group. We're going to try to get somewhere a little further out.
Okay.
And try to find another one that we haven't been to.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty around.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
It'll never beat having free reign of Penhurst.
No, that was great.
Yeah.
We did everything there.
Yeah. That was really fun.
That was.
But we'll have some, coming up on Halloween, we'll have some great ghost stories, some great ghost hunters, some great horror authors, and I think we're calling it Zomtober.
Zomtober.
Some zombies.
Absolutely. And this is episode 94.
Yeah.
And that's 6 away from 100.
I know. We're almost there.
We only have 6 episodes until we hit that 100 mark.
I know. We're there. We got to do something special for Halloween.
I was going to say, we got to do something special.
I was thinking about doing the 100 ghosts. Where we could talk about 100 ghosts.
Okay. Yeah. And I think that we're going to hit that 100th episode
right around Halloween.
In October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll see what we can do. We'll find something special.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. Come on the show.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been cool.
Yes.
Halloween is coming. Thanks, Kenneth W. Cain, for the story and for coming on the show. And we will see. We take the break next week on Parax Radio, and you can find us at www.whatayouafraidofpodcast.com for expanded content, links, and all that. Plus, a bunch of ghost stories online, fiction, videos, stuff like that. Appearances we'll be doing, like we'll be at Fort Mifflin in early October with some authors up there.
Oh, yeah.
And also, we're on Parax Radio on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Haunted Histories is back on Parax Radio at 8 o'clock, and it's wonderful.
Right.
You got to check this out.
Absolutely.
This lady's great.
Absolutely.
It's all haunted historical stuff.
Uh-huh.
So 8 o'clock before us on Parax
Love
Radio.
it.
Check it out, yeah. Anyway, we'll be back. Phil, it's been great.
Oh, yeah. Definitely Fox.
Well, I'm Fox.
And I'm Phil.
Halloween is coming, Halloween is coming, Halloween.
T. Fox Dunham lives in Philadelphia with his wife Allison. He's a lymphoma survivor, cancer patient, modern bard, and historian. His first book, The Street Martyr, was published by Gutter Books. A major motion picture based on the book is being produced by Throughline Films. Destroying the Tangible Illusion of Reality or Searching for Andy Kaufman, a book about what it's like to be dying of cancer, was recently released from Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing, and Fox has a story in the next Stargate anthology from MGM and Fandemonium Books, Points of Origin. Fox is an active member of the Horror Writers Association, and he's had published hundreds of short stories and articles. His motto is Wrecking Civilization, one story at a time.
Phil Thomas is an author and screenwriter from the suburbs of Philadelphia. His screenplays have been produced into feature films False Face and Always from Darkness, and are available in major retailers such as Best Buy and Target, as well as availability on Netflix and Amazon On Demand. His short films can be viewed on his YouTube channel, Film Zero Presents. He is a member of the International Association of Professional Writers and Editors, and he currently writes for Cultured Vultures, Game Skinny, and BloodyDisgusting.com. His first novel, The Poe Predicament, is being published in 2018 by Caliburn Press.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.